really started this trajectory for me of saying yes and really throwing myself into trusting the guidance, trusting in all of the wisdom that was delivered to me.
Right.
Now, working with that for so many years, it moves through me now. So that was like a graduation. So it's not just I'm receiving, I'm actually a conduit for it now. So it moves through me for other people to receive.
That's great.
And while you receive, I receive. So it's
Yes.
this divine healing
Yes.
that gets circulated. By giving, I receive.
Yes. Welcome to the Conscious Broadcast. I'm Danielle Kane, and I have my lovely guest, Lisa Roche, with me today. And I'm so excited for us to talk a little bit about her story and what she's up to these days. So, quick bio. Lisa is an oracle for channel healing, helping clients who are ready to experience a profound change in their life. Lisa is skilled at delivering higher guidance to help you heal physical ailments and emotional distress so you can live a life of peace and purpose. She works with a select number of people who are ready to accept the advice by their spirit guides, and who are ready to show up in their lives to be empowered in their highest expression. So Lisa is a contributing author, which can't wait to hear more about this, to a 9-time bestseller, The Energy Medicine Solution, and mind-blowing results for living an extraordinary life. And also, she is the founding partner of Spirit Calling, an online community providing support, guidance, and education for individuals navigating their spiritual awakening journey, which you'll see from my previous interview with her partner, Pamela. We talked about that. So I'm so happy to have you here today. Thank you
Thank
for joining.
you. Thank
Yes.
you so much. This is an honor, an absolute
Yes.
honor to join you. Thank you.
Yes. And you have quite the bio. I mean, you do so much. This is really great to come and connect and see your journey of where you are now. So a little bit about how we met. We met through Pamela, who I interviewed not long ago. And it was kind of one of the most amazing. I always say it was the best gift I've ever been given, because I was put in a situation where I didn't know what I was expecting. And then I met somebody who was so willing to give and give and be in service of me. And I'm someone who wasn't so willing to receive at first. I was like, wait, what's happening? We're doing this. And so I felt that was so great for me to step in and be open to it. So
I hijacked you.
you hijacked me. She
I
did Reiki
kidnapped
on
you.
me, and she told me all the things that I was already going to do. And I kind of knew I needed to do it, but I wasn't quite ready to hear it. So I thank you for
Thank
just
you.
being who you are. And it was lovely. So
I remember when you came over to the studio, when I met you for the first time. It was during COVID, during I guess, the peak of COVID. And we were in such a weird space and weird energy. But I like, and being a studio owner, like, there are certain things you have to do, right? You have
right.
to, we back then had to limit the number of people I could have in there, had to wear a mask all the time. And there are all these different levels of stuff that had to be done just to be able to reopen.
Sure.
But I have to say that I enjoyed the masks. Can I just say that real quick? I really did.
You can
I
embrace
enjoyed
whatever
the
you like.
masks. Number one, number one, because it forced everyone to look each other in the eye.
I can see
I
that.
loved that the throat chakra was covered up, that it was sort of a little bit mysterious. So you had to look into the soul to understand what interaction was happening. It made me more sensitive to the energy of infection, disease, ailment. So when you walked in, I remember almost being blown over.
Oh my God, you probably were.
Yeah. And I remember having to step out of your field. I remember having to very quickly recenter. And then I could not shake the longing and the begging that was coming from
Mm,
your soul.
mm.
Please help me. This is why I'm here. Please give me guidance. This is why I'm here. I'm here for you to heal me. I am here for you to clear the path so that I can move forward. And it's not very often that that is as overwhelming and as overpowering as it was with you. So there
Yeah.
are certain people where I just have to say, sorry, sorry, not sorry. If you're open and willing consciously to receive, then I need to show up. I need to do my job, which is like clear your shit, whatever shit has, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
go for
cursed.
it.
Is that
We
okay?
we yeah, we dropped F-bombs the last one.
Great.
Yeah, you just go with whatever is feeling the best, way to express yourself.
But that's just it. Like everybody
Yeah.
has a queue of shit that needs to get cleared. Your calling is so strong to show up and be a much bigger, brighter version of yourself. And in order to do that, the long ass queue of horse shit that
Mhm.
was spewing around there in your brain and quite frankly throughout your physical body
Yeah.
needed to get cleared and
Yeah.
very quickly. So if I'm in a position and my guides tell me don't say no to this one. Yes, this one is worthy. Yes, this one wants, but you can say no to that one, right? Like
Yeah.
I get that kind
And
of
you can get
guidance.
you can feel that energetically. And
I
that's
can. Yeah.
wonderful. I remember too when seeing you wear the mask because I appreciate that perspective because I had a hard time because I am so looking for those connections and
Yeah.
I want to see you. I want to see.
Yes.
And so when I couldn't see people, it would put me in a state of like almost like
Yeah.
I don't know, separation.
There's
I
a there's
felt
a separation and a panic that
yeah,
comes with that.
right. And I felt that and I think I wanted to be so close to you when I first saw you
Yeah.
that I was taken back and I'm like, she's wearing a mask. And eventually I think that it started we started, shifting
Well,
through.
yeah, for me, I am a sensitive enough channel that I can feel disease
Yeah.
and I can feel when someone's infectious because I can feel the energy of
Because
infection.
it's all energy.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that anybody had a cough and would cough on me and get me sick,
Right. Right.
right? Um, that's actually not how it works. I know that you will have the entire medical community say that's exactly how it works. Yes, and on that physical 3D level, that's exactly how it works. When you exist in a 4 and 5D and even higher existence, it's your energy triggers my energy to release and heal. That's how energy works. So when I caught COVID at the very, very beginning, it was on the heels of an absolute mind-blowing, incredible level of healing with a practitioner that Kathy Wolf, she's in
Okay.
our community. She helped me clear so much that I had never realized was still in existence for me. I mean, when I talk about that level, it was time travel, it was interdimensional travel, it was timelines,
Yeah.
interdimensional timelines. Like
Right.
we were going everywhere, jumping galactically all over the place to rapid fire clear the ship. And that means that my system was very raw because it was so used to living at a lower, denser frequency
Sure.
to get jacked up that high. Um, I very easily caught COVID.
Sure.
And
And
listen,
the
that
body
was
was in
the
dis-ease. I really do look at
exactly
it's not in a homeostasis place. And if you want to
correct.
entertain somebody, also, I have some theories just personally, but just that if that person is sick and you want to take on, oh my God, I feel so bad for them.
Yes.
You're taking on the disease now.
You and that's it, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's it exactly.
So you're entertaining. Okay, I'm going to take that versus because there's times where you could be next to someone and you never even got
Yep.
COVID. So
Yep.
it's such a fun,
Isn't that
interesting
fascinating?
concept.
It
It's
is
so
literally like
fascinating.
how strong is your field?
And it's so great to talk about this openly, not to try to put anyone in fear. It's just like, let's have a
No.
conversation about energy, right?
Yes.
And I
I
really
mean,
love how
I
you,
helped like every single one of my clients. I had very elderly people coming in and
Mhm.
um cancer patients and, all sorts of level of sickness.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, we just have to deal with the energy of it.
Yeah.
I'll wear a mask because number one, I find it to be enjoyable to try and that I find it enjoyable and entertaining that people were forced to actually connect soul to soul, right? You were literally taken away your level of comfort of connection. Like I need to see the whole being. I need to be completely open. Well, no.
Yeah.
Right? No. How do
I
you
love that
experience
this is
somebody
what I was
at a
going to say.
different
I never
level of
even looked
energy?
at I never even looked at that from that way. It's like looking at any circumstance and like, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened, or being like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this is what's going on. And that's how I see things. And now I got
Yeah.
to see someone deeper because I looked in their eyes.
You
I
realize that was
really,
part of the rapid ascension?
yes,
Take away, take away
I take
taste,
away. Mm-hmm.
smell,
Yeah.
physical connection.
Yeah. Like
And now how do
lockdown,
you
like
connect with
everything.
people?
Right.
Right? All of your 3D experiences were taken away.
Right. You're
How do
absolutely right.
you
I just got
find
chills
love?
again. I've been getting chills. Ah,
Right?
like
So
recently.
I thought it was fabulous. I
Yeah.
mean, I recognize the hardship of it because being literally kicked out of your 3D experience is never comfortable. But I was like, bring it. I want to see what this 5D level of connection is. Like that was a rapid ascension for all of humanity across the planet.
You're
I
absolutely right.
sat back in awe of that. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then I'll play your game. I'll do whatever you want me to
Yeah,
do,
right.
whatever.
And then you kind of realize that you're in it.
I
Yeah.
don't care.
And the best thing is when you could be on the other side and like, okay, there is a game going on here and not getting
Yeah, for
pulled
sure.
into, oh
For
my gosh,
sure.
they're taking everything. Like, okay, like where can you ride I like to call it like the neutral lane as
And
much as
that's
you can.
exactly it.
Right. But yes,
But that
absolutely.
takes understanding both sides.
Yeah.
Like I get it, you're afraid, and guess what? You're getting a taste of what freedom feels like.
Right.
No one's taking away anything.
Right.
They're actually giving you the capacity to think differently. That's really frightening, right? You're taken out
Yeah.
of your comfort zone, forced to think a different way. Well, the same with the people who are like mask up and you have to do X, Y, and Z. No, if you're on either end of the extreme, you're dealing with your own shit at that point. You're dealing
Right.
with your own fear.
Right.
You
Right.
do whatever you want.
Right.
It
Exactly.
doesn't bother me.
Exactly. Right. Right. Ah, so that was an interesting
So
time.
that was how we met.
That's how Woo! It was like a big I do remember feeling that energy though. So and it was the one of the most interesting, most pleasant experiences I've ever had. And
Me too.
it really got me to focus a lot of the mirror effect, I think, for
Yeah.
me, because I was trying to understand a lot of people where they were. And
Yeah.
I think I was like, I need to do a little bit more work on who I am. So
Well, that's what had to get neutralized, right? So my system automatically got triggered by your fear. And I was like, "Oh, okay. So she's got this lower currency that's running through, this lower frequency that's still running through her, which aligns with the COVID frequency." Like this is how people get sick,
right, right,
right? So the physicality of it is there's a certain lower vibration frequency. If that is what is overshadowing, if you're out of balance, right? If you're heavier in the lower frequency, well then a low frequency
yeah, right,
infection is going to align with that because
right,
that's the energy of it. So you take a
right.
low frequency, all infection is low frequency. So you take a low frequency, combine it with your fear frequency, boom, of course you're going to get sick. And then
Absolutely.
if the physicality of your body is not in a place where it can clear very quickly, then it winds up overpowering. And then your scale gets really out of balance where the negative far outweighs the positive. And that's how people die. It created all of this inflammation. Inflammation is fire, and you didn't have enough positive energy running through your body, or you weren't replenishing at a rate that could counterbalance the fire that was building and cool it down.
It would be amazing. I love that you just said that because there's times where if we could all see like a barometer of that
Yeah,
fire
right.
and like see us on an energetic level, like, oh, I'm there. And how did I get there? Some people are just not aware of what that looks like. So I think that
It
was a
was
really
neat.
great description because that
Yeah.
really is how people's lives
Well,
come to
and
an end.
look at the reaction when you looked at both sides of the spectrum. People who were like, "You have to,"
Right.
and the people are like, "You never."
It was so
They're both
strong.
saying the exact same thing. They're both living in the exact same energy. They're, it's just that one is pro and one is con.
Right. Right. Right.
How about we neutralize it? So that's what I did, right? I
Yes.
looked at the kids. The kids wanted to go back to college, and I said, well, the only way you get to go back to college is if you have a piece of paper that says, you've. So how badly do you want to go back to college? Absolutely. We've lived with you for an entire year now. We want to
Yeah.
go back to college. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We have to neutralize absolutely everything. I'm going to go in, I'm going to neutralize the space where we're going to neutralize the needles, the vaccine itself, the people who are going to be giving it to us. I'm going to do my absolute best to neutralize absolutely everything and then raise each of us to a vibration of neutrality.
I love that you just
So
said that. I've never heard anyone tell me what kind of protocol that they did that as far as
that was
whatever.
absolutely my
That's such a
protocol.
but that's a beautiful system of that
Yeah.
makes sense to me because if you know your frequency, you know your energy, you know how to
Oh,
manipulate energy. That's what Dolores Cannon talks about all the time. It's the mastery of manipulating energy here. And if you know
exactly.
how to do it, then you know yourself and you know how to keep yourself neutral and heal.
Yes. And I'll tell you, so here's what's really interesting. So both my husband and I got COVID
Mhm.
at the very, very beginning. Before it was COVID, it was just like the world's
You
worst flu,
right, right.
right? And it was, listen, flat out, it was an absolute nightmare. But in, I vividly remember being like sick, dog sick. And I kept listening. Okay, so if I'm this sick, what's burning through me? What is burning through me? Something is leaving. So that's a fever. It's that rise of the temperature because your cells are trying to expedite this mass exodus as fast as it possibly can so that it's at least short lived. It's a
Yeah,
shit journey, but at least it's short lived, right?
yeah,
And in that moment, I went, okay, so something's leaving. Don't really need to know or identify it. I just need to know that this is a really big deal. So I'm really grateful. I
yeah,
may feel like hell, but I'm really grateful this is leaving. And then there was the let's check in with the guides. Hey, how can we make this a little bit better? And how can we get through it a little bit faster? Okay, it's February. Open all your windows. Got it. Check. Open them all up. Wear as little as possible and go outside. Got it. We're going, everybody round up. We're going outside.
yeah, yeah,
Vitamin D, go heavy on the vitamin D. Get some eucalyptus into your home. How you're going to simultaneously kill germs and raise the vibration in your home. And funnily enough, once I was all better and I was back to work and all of the things, I started really researching essential oils to find out. Anybody else curious at the fact that they literally pharma can't come up with anything
right, right,
because pharma is so used to treating the symptoms and these
right,
symptoms change in a blink.
right,
It's
right.
outrunning what you think you can control. So how about you stop
Absolutely.
trying to control
There
it?
is, it's always going to be behind, you know?
Right. Like, why
Right.
don't you just start accepting it? Like,
Yeah.
embrace it and then
Right.
deal with it. What do you
Right.
need? Hey, infection, what do you need?
And we needed more people telling people to go outside. I mean, honestly, no one was
I
saying any
mean,
of that.
swear to God, get outside, right?
Yeah.
And
Get
so,
some
I
vitamin
mean,
D, get some fresh
get
air.
some vitamin D. That everybody was saying vitamin C, and I was like, nope, that's not it. It's not going to hurt you, but you absolutely need vitamin D.
Right. Right.
And you can't get it, through a supplement or milk or whatever. You actually need it from the sun. Like you have to get outside. And then my guides were telling me, get your feet on the ground. I know
Yeah.
it's
Earthing.
February, you're
Right.
cold, but you've got to get
You got to get in
the
there.
minerals. It
Yes.
was all about the minerals. So
Yes.
yeah, there's earthing and connecting with those ley lines and the energy of the earth helping you to disinfect. So earthing is really good for drawing out all of the negative energy,
Yeah.
toxic
Yeah.
energy, draws it out, and it's a super cleanser. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a
So
super
great.
filter our planet. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Oh,
But I
that's great.
also needed that exchange of minerals.
Mhm.
So what we wound up doing was going heavy on the mineral water and getting electrolytes. Those were really, really like very important. Potassium and magnesium. Those were really important. Still are, by the
Yeah.
way, because the energy of COVID, as you know, it's not going anywhere. It's just recalibrating. They keep
Right.
thinking it's different strains, whatever. It just keeps recalibrating. So the only way to stay healthy, right, is to make sure that you recalibrate, except you're not going to recalibrate to the infection. You're going to recalibrate to the earth because the earth's vibration is changing. So you have
Yes.
to recalibrate to that. What's healthy? The earth is healthy. The earth wants to clear everything. It wants to clean everything.
And it's
So
going to do it
recalibrate to that.
anyway.
And it's going to
Yep.
do it anyway. Nature always wins.
I
Hello.
know. How have we
I
not
love
figured
those
that out yet?
pictures of abandoned cities
I
and
know. I
you
know.
see trees growing. I'm like, yeah, because nature always wins.
I
Stop
know.
trying to fight
And
it.
it's a very simple process. And I felt like we like plant a tree, gives us oxygen. Hello. Like, how
Hello.
are we not like so I don't know. That is a whole nother topic. But
No.
but you spoke so well about dis-ease, and I know you have a
Mm-hmm.
story that kind of brought you
Oh
to where you
my.
are. Do you want to share a little
Yeah.
bit about that?
So yeah. Um, I've had a couple of near-death experiences. So the first one, which I find to be interesting, the first one, I mean, if we go all the way back, I was born prematurely. So
Really?
there's
How
that.
many weeks
Yeah.
were you early?
I was back then, I think I was like 8 weeks or something like that, 8 weeks
Wow.
early, which is pretty early for
That's very early.
1972.
And how
Yeah.
many pounds were you?
I was 4 pounds, like 4 pounds, 7 ounces. I was tiny. I was a tiny little thing. So there was that. And then fast forward, I was in my 20s and I had like the first conscious near death experience where I was in the shower and all of a sudden everything like just turned into a tunnel and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm no longer breathing. I knew that. I'm no longer breathing and I don't know exactly where I'm headed. And that was where I went into the tunnel of light and really explored like what made up the tunnel of light, which is all souls. And the
Mm.
vibration of the souls is what makes music. That was the sound,
Oh, how amazing. I
right?
love
So it
that.
was like
Thank you.
experiencing all of the senses just in a different way, which we've
Mhm.
talked about. You just start experiencing senses in a different way. So the sound of souls is music, the vibration of music that moves through your body. The scent of souls, of the soul collective, is jasmine, except I could taste it. So it came up through the soft palate instead.
Wow.
Right. And hearing what people had to say, including God, hearing what everyone had to say, what came through my heart. It was a feeling that created the words. And I was like, oh, this is a really neat way to experience things. Until I was told, like, go, leave. Like, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah, you're not, you need to
Then I
turn
was like,
around. You're not
no,
done.
but no,
You're like, but this is so lovely. Can
but
I
this
keep
is so
going?
good.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then my other was, I guess, not so much a near death experience as it was a separation of soul and body. But I stayed here. I didn't go anywhere. I just stayed to witness. Where, unbeknownst to me, it was post surgery. I had an infection, and all the doctors told my husband it's a 50-50 chance. We have to see if she makes it through the night, that type of thing. And in that night, I was up in the corner by the ceiling and watching my body and seeing where infection was. I could see it. I could taste it. I could
Mm.
experience it. But separated from it, which was neat. And then I saw my night nurse come in and I saw her check all my vitals, the computer and whatnot. And then she laid hands on me. And I saw light come through her, generate from her, and then into me and pull out all the infection, which then I got to experience as this like coming out my mouth, coming out my nose, coming out
Wow.
my eyes, my ears, my wound itself, and like everywhere. It just started pulling out, pulling out. And in the morning when I woke up, she came in and I looked at her and I said, I saw what you did. And
She was like, oh
she
my
was
God.
like, what the fuck? No,
You
no. And
didn't
I
see
said, I
anything. That
did.
wasn't me.
I know, right? And I'm like, I did. I saw what you did. And she said, what did you see? And I said, well, I was floating up there and I saw you lay hands on me. And she said, okay. Close the door, close the curtain. And she said, listen, this is what my people do. Please don't tell anyone I did that. But you had to be saved. You have work to do. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just really glad that I'm not dying. Like, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you know where
And
she's from? Is she
then,
from like some, like, was it
so
indigenous
she had
or?
a real heavy accent. I had like a real thick, heavy accent. And I want to say from the continent of Africa, but
Yeah,
I didn't know for sure.
sure. Exactly.
I
Mhm.
just,
It's
and
magic.
and subsequently, like I've had experiences with her energetically. Like I've gone back to visit with her. It's very tribal feeling,
Yeah.
there's all of that.
Yeah.
So
You
she's
just
ancient.
received. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
received, right, because I had work to do. And then fast forward, um, the big like frying pan to my face, whack, how about you wake up now? Um,
Right.
was I was at breakfast with friends and looking left to right when I felt a huge squeeze on the back of my head. And as I was trying to figure out like what is that, I blacked out. And when I came to, I figured, oh, I must have low blood sugar. So here I am trying to speak, but words aren't coming out. I can't see anymore and I can't hear. So I'm like trying to do hand signals and trying to get words. And my friends were like, I think she needs to eat something. They tried to, I remember a straw sipping on something. I remember like a little bit of food and nothing, like it was regurgitating. I just couldn't take it in. It was like my tongue would not allow things to swallow.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I got into someone's car. I remember the texture of wallpaper. And I remember telling myself, and people are dragging me, right? And I remember telling myself, this is bumpy. I remembered that. Like I was trying to relate to the outside world through different senses. So here I was saying, okay, this is bumpy, but not knowing if I was standing up, being dragged in a laying down position. I didn't know what was I in a wheelchair? Like I had no idea where I was.
Yeah.
I just remember hearing my feet and saying, those are my feet. So trying to make these neural connections to make sense of everything when nothing made sense anymore. And so fast forward 9 months worth of tests and everybody telling me I was fine, except that this was going to be my lot in life. I lost the ability to sit up independently. I had to be propped with pillows. I couldn't hold my own head up. I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't hold things. I remember at one point going to vote because that was like really super important to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't remember my name to sign the voting card.
Wow.
Right?
I didn't even,
I
and it went for 9 months.
9 months of
Oh
that,
my gosh. I didn't
of
even realize
every
it was that
test
long.
under the
Wow.
sun, but curious that it was 9 months, right?
Right. Right. Like, were you just waiting for the walk-in to come in? No, I don't know. Right.
Seriously,
Right.
9 months.
Wow.
And the
That's
final
crazy.
straw was and I don't have a whole lot of memories. Like there are plenty of things that my family will say, oh, remember blah 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 blah, and I'll be like, no. They were like, oh, that was the forgotten year. Like there are the things that are visceral memories for me are super super isolated. It was like I was living with a hood over my head
Yeah.
and singular, so it was like everything that was happening within me, those are vivid. But anything that was going on out in the world, I don't really remember.
Now I haven't asked you a question because this was just
Mm-hmm.
sudden, right? It just, you're just there, and you
I
specifically
was a
said,
totally normal, healthy,
right.
vibrant. I was a gyrotonic instructor. I had the studio going. I was a swim coach. I was working out all the time. Like that was my life.
Yeah.
That was my life.
But you said something like something, boom, right in the back of the head. Now, was
Yes.
that spirit?
For sure. So, when something happens to your physicality, people automatically think, okay, so that was a failure of my human form. No. I mean, yes, it plays out like that, but I like to go deeper. What's the root cause of things? That's what I'm always searching for. Root cause, not what caused your symptoms.
Right.
What the fuck? That's what I want to know.
Right. Like, how the hell did I
How in
totally
the hell
healthy
did this
just
happen?
fall flat on my face? Right. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And I mean, the final straw, it was I saw an ENT who took every test under the sun and said, I don't know what's wrong with you, but how about this? How about we put you in surgery? We drill a hole behind your ear through your skull, and we relieve pressure. And I put a camera in, see what's going on maybe with your brain. Maybe you had a stroke somewhere that we can't see. I did have a stroke. I had a cerebral stroke. Or a cervical stroke. It's called a cervical stroke. It's the exact same thing that would happen in your brain, except it happens in a vertebrae.
Wow. I had
Now,
no idea. That is
yeah.
crazy.
So why would a vertebrae, one, so this was my atlas sublix. That means that it rotated. So when it misaligned, it shifted right and rotated forward. Right? Shifted right, rotated forward. In doing so, it depressed the aorta, the vagus nerve, and my brainstem. So that was the physicality of it, right?
Right.
And so in doing that, you're taking like a garden hose of blood, twisting it, folding it, and that drip of water that comes through, that's how much blood was getting up to my brain. That's how much cerebral spinal fluid was getting up around the brain, right?
Mm,
That's that fluid that cushions your brain between your
right.
skull and your brain.
Yeah.
That fluid cleans your brain.
Right.
It keeps your neurons firing nicely. It helps. It actually helps with your dreaming. It helps you clear out the cache. Clear out the cache.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started digging, I got into the vagus nerve and was like, what's up with the vagus nerve? Like,
Yeah.
what does that regulate? Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm having all of those symptoms of poor digestion and rapid heartbeat and anxiety and depression. And, it's a cycle of it's chicken or the egg. Who cares what caused it? Let's just deal with the fact that this is what we have.
Right.
Let's get to the energy of it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So for me, it was keep digging, keep digging, keep digging. And I credit my sister because when I told her what the ENT wanted to do, she was like, fuck that. No, you do not go from being perfectly healthy to where you are. And she's a nurse. And she's like, to where you are right now.
This is not
We
right.
need
Unacceptable.
something different.
Yeah. But that's so great. And this is what it's like, almost like you went down the rabbit hole, but you had to go down the rabbit hole because
I had to.
physical being was like
Yes.
trapped in this non-moving vehicle now.
Yes.
When you're like, I got work to do. What the hell is this?
Exactly. So, in my lowest point, it's funny that you say that. At my lowest point, I really did. I collapsed to the floor. I was alone in the house and I was sobbing. And I begged for the pain to stop. In my head, that felt like I was asking to die. But those were not the words that I used. I remember thinking, just take me away from here. Make this, take my life. I don't want to be here anymore. But the words that I actually spoke in that moment were, take me the burden away from my family. Take me the pain away from my body. Make those things happen. Well, if you take me the burden away, that means you make me thrive and independent. If the opposite of burden is totally empowered and thriving, right? The opposite of pain is complete vibrancy. So unbeknownst to me, I put the gauntlet on the table for a completely empowered, free, and thriving and vibrant life. I didn't realize that in the moment. But what answer came through was like sunk into this very deep, deep state of meditation, which was very much like Alice in the
Wonderland.
Looking Glass in Wonderland,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
You
whirling,
were going
whirling
down,
down deep.
down, down deep. Yeah.
I had never in my life experienced that kind of meditation before, ever, ever. I mean, looking back, I'm like, oh, well, that's because I was in a channeled state. Now, right. So now I'm like, okay, that's my normal. I
Yeah, that's
can
what I
wake up and
know.
do that.
Yeah.
But in that moment, that's when I first heard a voice say, you have all the answers you need. All the answers are right inside you. Like the things that you see, because I was telling doctors, there's a blockage here. I see it. It's gray. It's dark. It looks like coal, but it's not that solid, but it's there. And they were
Yeah.
like, okay, here's an antipsychotic
Oh
because you
gosh.
see
Right.
things, you experience things, right?
And you know things on an energy level that they can't see. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So now you're like, shoot, can't talk to them
Ah,
about that. So
fuck.
that's
You
the
know
most
what?
difficult thing is the people that want to try to help that they're blocked off, they're closed off to
Exactly. And they're
understand. And
doing their best. Like I
they
can't
are.
fault that.
Right.
If, you
They're
know,
there to do
I get it.
surgery. You want them for surgery, great. If you need to like
That's
stitch up
right.
something, but when it comes to the root cause,
Which is always energetic.
right.
So I listened to that voice and I said, okay, if I have all the answers inside me, okay, then what the fuck? Let's do it. Let's go. I'm a broken woman and I'll do whatever the hell you tell me. Invisible voice. And they said, great, go on to Facebook. What? So like in a nanosecond, I'm already
Like
questioning the guidance.
Facebook.
Oh yeah, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. What? Facebook?
You're like,
So I
what
did it,
kind of what
and the
kind of
voice said,
advice
"Go
is
on to
this?
Facebook." I mean, okay, whatever. I'm like on all fours trying to find my way back up onto the couch. Open up Facebook on my iPad, and there's this group called Buy Nothing, and I see it, and I hear that voice, join the group. Okay, I join the group, Buy Nothing, join. I'm accepted, immediately. And the very first post is a woman. And she says, it's the Lenten season, and I'm looking for someone to help. If you need help, message me. And I hear a voice ask for help. And I was like, oh no. Like I still get full body chills. I was like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't do that. People don't know that I am collapsed on my floor begging to die. Like people don't know that.
Yeah.
Ask for
Yeah.
help. And I was like, fuck. So I opened it up. I messaged her and said, I need help. Um, I need help.
I
I'm
love
in
you.
PT. I can't walk, but I got to get to the neighbor's house and back. That's part of my PT. I can't put my coat on. So you're gonna have to help me with that. Like, I just don't want to be a burden to my family anymore.
Yeah.
And I need help. And she said, great, I'll be there. So she shows up.
That's amazing. I laugh because it's like the fact that you just so surrendered, you know?
Listen, but here's the thing. Like, if you're literally sitting as a mush of a person,
Right.
so broken, where your only choice is listen to God only knows what
Right.
or
Right.
die.
Right.
I'm like, all right, I'll listen to God only knows what. Like, I love my kids. There, that'll
Yeah.
keep me here listening to God only knows what. But she did. She showed up, helped me with all the things. And while helping me, she said, do you mind if I ask, what's going on with you? And I very quickly go through it and say, I've had an atlas injury and nobody's ever heard of it. Nobody knows what to do with it. So I'm just kind of left on my own devices here and I'm doing the best I can. And she goes, oh, well, that's really interesting because I had an atlas injury a few years ago. Nobody ever heard of it. I had to go through this all by myself. It wasn't nearly as bad, but I found a specialist. Wait, what? Oh, what? She's like, yeah, he's an atlas specialist, only deals with the atlas, and he's just in Morristown, which is only a town away, 2 towns
Right.
away. It's so
right,
close
right
from
down the
where I
street.
live.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? What are you even talking about? And she said, I know that your memory is like shit right now. So if I give you details, you won't remember anything. So I'll come in, I'll write it all down. You call. I'll warn you, he's got a 2-month waiting list, but at least he can help you.
Right.
And I was like, okay, all right.
Like, I'll deal with that.
Another doctor, right? I know it's just, So I come in, she writes it
Oh,
all down, and I'm looking at this sticky note. And my brother-in-law was here helping, cooking dinner. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I've been to every doctor. I am with a chiropractor now, thanks to my sister who found like alternative care for me. And I'm like, I'm doing okay. I'm
yeah.
about 60, 70%. And that's a lot better than being stuck. At least I'm in a wheelchair and mobile, and I can, with the help of a brace, keep my head up. Like, I really low benchmark of what was
What was really going on?
accessible.
You weren't really like, yeah, I'm messed up. Right.
Right?
Like I mean, that's what we do though. I feel like a lot of times people are like, well, we don't want people to feel sorry for us when we're like,
Exactly.
it's okay to ask for
It's
help.
okay. Right. Right. And we just
Right.
kind of placate.
Yeah.
And he came to me and was like, "How dare you? How dare you?" And I was like, "What? Like, I'm having a broken moment." Right. And he was like, "How dare you? If an angel comes to you and gives you the solution, you say no." He was like, "You're no better than the person standing on the roof of their house and the airplane comes by and says, or the helicopter comes by and says, 'Let me lift you up.' And you're like, 'No, that's okay. God's coming.'" He was like, "Who the fuck do you think is in the helicopter, Lisa? Who do you think showed up here at the house? Call." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. You're like, okay. Oh my God. So it reminds me of Bruce
Thank you.
Almighty. Remember with him on the computer answering all the calls? I was like the first thing that reminded me, like, I gotta answer playing God. And he's like, all right. Oh, this is exhausting.
Yes, 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 yes. So I called, and that 2-month waiting list was 2 days. They said, "How about you come in on Wednesday?" Literally just hung up with a person canceling for Wednesday. "Can you make it at 2 o'clock on Wednesday?" And I was like, yes, yes.
So
So
great.
that really started this trajectory for me of saying yes and really throwing myself into trusting the guidance, trusting in all of the wisdom that was delivered to me.
Right.
Now, working with that for so many years, it moves through me now. So that was like a graduation. So it's not just I'm receiving, I'm actually a conduit for it now. So it moves through me for other people to receive.
That's great.
And while you receive, I receive. So it's
Yes.
this divine healing
Yes.
that gets circulated. By giving, I receive.
Yes. I know that completely can relate to that. And that's one reason why I got into quantum healing hypnosis. I feel like it's such a win-win situation as they're going
Right.
journeying and releasing trauma or whatever it is. I like am also
Yeah.
hearing the most amazing. I'm getting downloads because there's things that I remember and I don't know how I remember them, but it feels good and I can feel it. And my intuition's like, yeah, that's it. That's the answer. That's what you've been looking
Yeah.
for. And it's a great experience. And it sounds very similar to what you've been doing all this
It's
time.
extremely similar. It's like what do we need to go through to turn on the divine DNA that's within us?
Mm,
What do we have to experience as individuals, because that's your individual path? The experiences that you invite into your life that allow you to turn on that divine DNA strand.
wonderful. I love that. That's great. A little bit about what's the most important to you right now, the things that are going on in those
Oh my
projects.
gosh. So I would have to say the most important thing right now on, the forefront of everything is spirit calling.
Mm.
Absolutely. And spirit calling, it's this beautiful online community where we really are opening the doors for anybody to come in. I don't care where you are in your awakening process. You come in and you find the right recipe for you. So I think it's really important to point out that every single individual journey is unique to you, truly. So what's going to work for you is not necessarily what's going to work for me. And the tools that I've put into place, I can speak to them. This is how they worked for me. You have to try them out and see if they work for you. So taking that concept of everybody gets to heal. So I should probably back up. We're divinely guided by our spirit guides who set out this like course of how to help the most people in the fastest amount of time. How do
Right.
you get people to awaken, and
Right.
then how do you get them through it smoothly? Because the ascension process is speeding up. It's no longer going to take decades. It's only going to take days. You live it right now, where every moment of a day is like, holy shit, oh my God,
It's like,
another.
well, it was so amazing. There's this interesting podcast that I came across. You in a, because of the information that we have, whether energetically or
Mhm.
not, we're living in one day 100 years
Yeah,
from what we did.
yeah,
And I'm like, of all the information that's coming in, I can totally
yeah.
relate to that because by the end of the night, I'm like, oh my gosh, what just happened today? Yeah, it's like so much information.
It is. But you have to gobble all of that up and
Yeah,
then decipher what's good for you, right? What works for
right.
you. So your unique awakening experience needs a buffet to choose from, right? So it's like you're creating your own recipe of practitioner, tools, and education.
Mhm.
And then you get to come in and pick out what works for you.
Yes.
Now, that is under the umbrella of a community that gets to support you and normalize the awakening experience. We get to talk with each other and share our stories and ask for advice. It's like, when all the wizards would wind up at Hogwarts,
Yes, right.
right? Like all of a sudden, I'm no longer stranded around
Right.
a
You're in
bunch of
this like
muggles.
safe place. Yes.
You got a whole lot of people just like you. So that's spirit calling. You've got a whole lot of people who are just like you, who have a different priority, right? And a different perspective, non-judgmental.
And it's when I can say when I first my consciousness shift happened, all you wanted to do was research. And what a great
Exactly.
place to go to be like, okay, I can get a lot here. And they can tell me what X means, or I feel like I've heard this concept and I want to know more
Yeah.
about it. It's a perfect place
And
to
how
like
does that
fall back.
pertain to me and how can I
Right.
best use that? So
And you have
so
an
right
interactive
now,
person, not just like
yes.
videos where you have to pay and you're just getting videos. There are physical people that are like,
Yes.
communicate, well, in the portal realm, but they're communicating with you and it's a live interaction and or you're typing like a messenger. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really important. And now within there, we're really building up this curated database of healers and practitioners, soul aligned business professionals. So, like, you could be an accountant as long as you're soul aligned. That
Okay.
means you work at a different vibration,
Mm,
right?
I
You're
love
not
that.
concerned about the transaction, you're
Yes.
concerned about the relationship.
Right.
That's
Right.
different,
Yes.
right? This is not do my taxes and then I collect a fee. This is who are you as a person? Where are you in your life? Now, how can I best help you?
Mm,
Right? How can I best
yes.
help you prosper? That's in any field.
And that is like a great way to look at this transition of a lot of us talk about like this new earth transition, to use that term from
Yes.
3D to 5D of currency, right? Where are we going with that? And it's
Yes.
not going to be the same way that it has always been. And I love how you're bridging that gap there already within the community.
It's all
That's
about intention.
that's so
It
great.
is all about intention. What is your intention? So when they talk about this shifting of 3D to 5D, it really is you're learning not to react out of fear, which is 3D. I learned through fear. A stove is hot, so I don't touch it. Now you switch over into 5D. I understand the concept of heat, therefore I avoid it, right? That's
Right.
like 4D, 5D. Then 5D is like I only seek out the things that are in my best interest. Maybe heat is in my best interest. So I want to feel it because I'm cold and it'll warm me up. Or maybe cold is my best friend, right? So it's all about what is in my best interest, what helps me raise my vibration the highest. And regardless of where you are, how can you shed the shit, right? There's a
Mhm.
cache of shit that you've been carrying around with you. How do you process through that and start living a life of peace. And that's the highest vibration, right? To live in that neutral zone of peace. That's what we're shooting for.
And so how did this book come about?
Oh my gosh. The energy medicine solution. So God, talk about divine guidance again, right? So I had this beautiful client who she was asked to be an author in another book. And she wound up having to drop out. But feeling badly, she asked, like, would I step in and write a chapter
with her
to cover up for her needing to leave, right?
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I mean, okay. And I had just done a human design where the woman said, you know, you're going to turn 50 and you're going to write a book. And I was like, okay.
That's so funny. It's like, because it's like we don't really want to believe, and you're hearing this and you're like, well, it's getting pretty close to the time. And yeah. And then you're like, oh,
so
here we
what
go.
did I do? I turned 50 and this friend of mine is like, I have to drop out of this book. Would you write a chapter? And I was like, I mean, okay, never written before. I have no idea what I'm doing, but okay. So I get involved and I get all the information. And the lead author is like, oh, thank you so much, but we no longer need you. I found the replacement. And I was like, okay, this is great. Like, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Pressure's
gosh.
off. I don't need to do that. But in the middle, and we're talking about a 3-day period. That's it. I hopped into a group. It was like the author group or whatever in Facebook. And you say what you want about Facebook. Everybody seems to be there.
Everybody is there. Everyone's like, I'm going to leave it. But then they always end up on it because you can't get off of it anyway. Because I feel like
because it's a drug. And we're all
literally
addicted.
Can't delete yourself.
I know you cannot. You cannot.
So it's like you're just there somehow, just like an avatar of you, is still
avatar
there.
of you is just hanging out. But I went to this group meeting of authors because I was a little bit curious. Yeah. Okay, so if this is how does it work? What's expected of me? And in that, and I'm telling you, I had 10 minutes where I was just like, I'm just going to pop in and see what this is all about. Jumped in right as this woman, Jackie, who is also in our community, beautiful energy healer. She works with pelvic pain, low back pain. She's an expert on it. Good plug for Jackie. Jacqueline Kane.
Yeah, it's gonna say because she's a Kane.
Jackie Kane. Jackie Kane, right? Yeah. She happened to speak up and say, I'm taking lead on the energy medicine solution and I need healers to come and write a chapter. And I was like, okay, so I get it. This is why I had to show up. Yes. All right. And I'm not thinking. I messaged her right there in the Zoom chat. My name is Lisa Roche. You can reach me at, I gave her my email and this is what I do. Feel free to contact me. Boom. I get an email. Please be in this book. Okay. Right? So it's this divine guidance. I do as I'm told. So clearly I had to go do what I was told. So I go and I write a chapter. I share. So in that book, it's a collection of amazing healers. I mean, amazing healers with different tools and different insights. And it was very specifically organized to offer you an experience that you can connect with that maybe validates what you're going through, and then a tool that you can use immediately to make change. Immediate. And if you'll notice, I took that same concept into our community and asked all of our healers and practitioners, right? I want to normalize the awakening experience, and I want you to be able to offer something that people can use immediately, right, to experience some change. Because when someone comes into a trauma center, you have to treat the trauma. The acute pain needs to be addressed. And that can be very simple. If somebody's coming in saying, I hear voices, you want to speak to that, right? You're not hearing voices. I mean, you are, but it's not what you think it is. You're not crazy, right? Right. I have tinnitus. Yes, you do. It's only because your ears are trying to actually correlate to the frequency of being able to channel. right?
I
It's
mean,
not tinnitus.
yes, I try to tell people that have, I'll have to send some people to you. Maybe that'll help, because he's struggling. This one client of mine has struggled. And I always say, it's like, you got to maybe think of a dial and like try to raise your vibration.
Yes,
That's worked for some people, but I don't know if it's, some people are just not believers or what. If it's their frequency, is they
it
need to
absolutely is.
match the frequency, and they're not being in tune with that.
The tool in the book
Yeah.
is this beginner's lesson on how do you hear yourself.
So is this like a whole chapter on this topic? Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
we're just
it's
going to have to get some
literally,
books and then give them as
I mean,
gifts.
right? It's a great book. It really is. It's a great book. Um, but when you have something annoying like that, you actually have to listen to it. So when you're sitting in meditation, a lot of times people try to, okay, I need to be silent. I have to
Yeah.
focus on my breath, and then my breath needs to disappear and everything needs to fade away. No, no. How about you start acknowledging? So part of a problem of us as humans is that we try really fucking hard to ignore things. We try to silence the inner voice. We
I
try
can
to
agree with
squelch
that.
down that inner child, right? Like we do everything we possibly can to ignore and be blind and deaf. We
Yeah.
really do, because that keeps us in that lower vibration. It keeps us in a 3D.
Yeah.
And funny, we've been trained to behave like that,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Since the minute we're
I mean,
born, right? And unfortunately, with you being premature, you're put into like,
in a complete incubator, right?
right, right.
Right.
Exactly.
And then, there's everything in society that tells you to be seen and not heard,
Yeah.
right?
And
Be
little
small, be
me. I played
quiet,
little me
all of
my
that.
whole life. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
know. Look at you, Sister Sledge,
Yeah.
stepping up and being like, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah. Got the guns
But
out now.
instead, I would tell him, instead of trying to make it go away, drill down into it. Place your hands on your ears, cup that so it's really loud.
Mm.
Hear it, right? So if you're trying to harmonize with a song on the radio, you're not going to turn it down. You're going to turn it up. You're going to try and then calibrate your voice to that song on the radio. You want to be able to hear it. So he needs to close his eyes. So now he doesn't have any neural input through his eyes, right? There's no distraction coming in through the eyes. Cup the ears. And now you have very little distraction of outside noise to the ringing in the ears.
Yeah.
Then for him specifically, it's around his tongue. It's around the sides of his tongue. So he has to cup his ears, and then he has to open his jaw a little bit because it's vibrating off the sides of his tongue. So there's a couple things going on there. One, he's being asked to actually hear the messages that are trying to come through, but then he's being challenged with speaking them. Okay, so it does feel like he has a habit of speaking out both sides of his mouth, right? So he'll change his words. He doesn't lie
Right, right.
outright,
But
but he
maybe his
speaks out of
audience he
both
has to speak to.
sides. It changes according to the audience.
Mhm.
The message changes according to the audience instead of the words. So he needs to hear the divine message, and then the message will never change, even though the words may change. And then
This
all of
is
that
going to be
goes
pretty
away.
mind-blowing for him, but I really think he needs to hear it.
Yeah, and when the tongue splits like that, right? We can go into a whole conversation about that at some other time.
Right,
But
right.
when the tongue splits like that, what you're doing is you're taking that throat chakra and you're ripping yourself in half. So you no longer know how to put yourself back together. You use your willpower to stay separated from,
Sure.
instead of allowing your willpower to bring you back together and make you whole.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that.
So he could very well, he's setting himself up. So this is that energy building, setting himself up for throat cancer, setting himself up for laryngitis and tonsillitis and strep throat and all those
Interesting.
things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thank you for that information. Now we get to experience the oracle, the healing right
There
there
it is. Yes.
for
There
people that
and
aren't
there's
even really here, but in my life. So thank you.
yeah.
That was really special. Thank you for offering that, just willingly to serve others that you don't know.
For
But
sure. For
that
sure.
was great. And we're gonna have to just check out that book. Again, it's called
The Energy Medicine Solution. Yeah. It's chock full of stories and tools. I love it.
Wonderful. Well, we got that Spirit Calling, which is
It launches this weekend.
yeah, like
Can you
I
believe
saw that
that?
it was
What
like
are
the
we?
10th.
We're tomorrow
And look
night.
at you getting on a call with me the day before or two before it launches. So thank you.
Yeah, things are on fire in the next room. Now.
Literally, like you can't see, it's all blurred, but oh, I thank you so much.
It's good. It's all good. Thank you.
Yeah, you are doing such amazing things, and I can't wait to see what happens next. And it's always, you're such an entertainer. I don't even think you realize you're one of the most entertaining people that I've met in this capacity. Because
Thank
it can
you.
get very serious, but you have a way of making it lighthearted and fun, and I think you're really funny. So
Thank you. Listen, I wander around the planet. I'm like, I am one of the most hysterical people I know.
yes, yes. So you can now share that when everyone else can see that. And I think they're really going to like this episode. So I want to thank you again. And I want to thank my audience for joining today. And we will see you next time on another episode of the Conscious Broadcast. Take care.